Hello and welcome to How Automation Helps You Build a More Scalable, Resilient Firm. This webcast is brought to you by CPA Practice Advisor Magazine and Corpay One. I'm Gail Perry. I'm the Editor-in-Chief of CPA Practice Advisor, and I'll be your moderator today. Before we get started, I'd like to explain how CPE for this webinar works. The webinar qualifies for 1 credit of continuing professional education. If you plan to earn CPE for attending this session, you must stay with us for at least 50 minutes. In addition, we will display 4 polling questions during the webcast. You need to record an answer for at least 3 of the questions, as this is our verification that you are still watching. You will receive an email by the end of the day from us that contains a link to your CPE certificate, assuming you met the requirements for CPE. Please note that we can give CPE credit for multiple people watching on the same computer. So if there are others in your office who would like to attend this event, please have them join you now. And at the end of the event, we'll provide an opportunity for you to send us their email addresses so they too can receive CPE credit. At any time, you can enter questions in the Ask a Question box provided on your screen, and our speakers will try to get to as many questions as possible during the presentation. Questions not answered during the broadcast will be addressed by the speakers afterwards by email. Today, we're joined by Sharon Fuller, Jordan Goldman, Jill Shallett, and Blake Meester. I'll let each of you introduce yourselves, and then we'll be ready to begin.
Hi, everyone. I'll go first since my square is first. My name is Sharon Fuller. I'm the CEO of Glass Wallet Ventures. I specialize in coaching accounting firm and small business owners in scaling and scaling their businesses. I've had my own accounting business. It was acquired last year. And since then, I've really just dedicated my time in this space. And I am very passionate about speaking about these things, but today I am going to be more of an asker and less of a speaker, which is really odd for me, but I'm excited about it.
I guess I'll go next. My name is Jordan Goldman. I am the founder of Prime Ledger, an outsourced bookkeeping accounting firm where we help small and medium-sized businesses streamline their accounting and their whole back office.
I'm Jill Shallett. I'm out of Washington, D.C., and I have a bookkeeping firm that specializes in helping small business owners find the best way to have processes and workflows in place for best efficiency possible.
Hey there, I'm Blake Meester. I'm a managing shareholder of Meester & Company. It's a business advisory firm that helps small and medium-sized businesses and their owners leverage technology and help with bookkeeping, tax, accounting, and advisory. I'm happy to be here today.
Awesome. I'm excited to ask you guys some questions and kind of pick your brain and get some feedback from a bunch of colleagues and other professionals. First off, we have a question. I'll let Gail take over.
All right, our first polling question is, what best describes you? Your choices are accountant, bookkeeper, business owner, or other. Choose the answer that's most appropriate for your situation. If you have any trouble posting your answer, like if you're on a device that didn't allow this question to pop up for some reason, you can always enter your answer in the Ask a Question box, and we will record it there. So go ahead and choose an answer and click Submit. And then we'll carry on.
I was thinking, some of us are business owners, but we're also accountants and bookkeepers. So if you are a business owner, but you do accounting work in your firm, please select business owner so we can really have an idea how many firm owners there are in here. Accountant and bookkeepers, you are the team that supports us, but we would love to know if you do not own a firm and maybe work at a firm as an accountant or a bookkeeper. Other is just everything else amazing that isn't in the list already. We're going to just go a few more seconds here. It looks like be sure to answer this question if you want your CPE, everybody. I know all of us here are business owners, so it does no good for me to ask any of you this question. But aside from a business owner, do you consider yourself accountants, advisors, tax accountants? Anybody here? Team panel?
I've pretty much worked myself out of a job. So still an accountant by trade, but very much more focusing on the business owner side.
Awesome. Jill, what do you consider yourself?
I'm still me, myself, and I. So I'm wearing all the hats for the moment.
All the things. And Jordan, what do you?
I think I'm all for also, we do a lot of everything.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll go ahead and end this survey now. And you guys can't see the results, but we can. We have a large amount of accountants and bookkeepers here, a small amount of business owners and other, but 69% are accountants. So welcome. Hopefully we teach you something that you can take back to your business owners and come off as superheroes. So first and foremost, panel, I would really like to know, I think everybody would like to know, and this is a really kind of a broad question and it is really more based on what type of firm you have, but what does a resilient firm look like to you? Jordan, what do you think?
This is a good question because in my opinion, a resilient firm can mean a lot of things, right? It can mean, are you able to grow? Are you able to scale your business, without your other clients suffering, right? Are you able to, how quickly can you streamline operations? How easy is it for you to make sure that everything runs smoothly, but at the same time, having good backup, having good documentation, having good support without, yourself, your employees, or your clients feeling overwhelmed. So I think a resilient firm looks like is just someone who's there for their clients, there for their people, and able to just continue growing without really looking like you took a hit. Just always pushing through and rolling with the punches. Because as business owners, as accountants, things don't always work the way they want. The numbers don't always add up. The numbers don't always tie. So it's something that we need to always push through.
Absolutely. Jill, you have any input on that one?
Yeah, definitely. I think just evolving as things change beyond our control. I don't even know if anyone wants me to mention what just happened over the past couple of years, especially if you do taxes. But I think, just playing the role of the problem solver, always learning, surround yourself with smart people, keep your clients at the forefront, really listen, make sure have empathy for what they're going through, and treat your clients like partners or teammates. Be genuine and transparent. Keep them, keep being their cheerleader. And I feel like the stronger, at least for me personally, the stronger relationships I have with my clients, the stronger I feel like my firm is, and endless possibilities.
Absolutely. I feel like you're my professional soulmate right there. I feel that response. What about you, Blake?
I can build on what Jill said, and no one wants to mention COVID, but I think it's really changed our world. It's accelerated a lot of things. And for me, the resiliency has been tested. So I think, resilient firm needs to adapt to the market forces, the changing environment, just be forward thinking. And I really think everyone needs to rethink how their firms are positioned and what that future looks like. For me, a resilient firm, you're looking at what your clients need, which I think's changed a whole bunch. The focus has really been put on, accessibility through technology. What tools can we help them integrate into their business and automate processes? How do we remove friction with us working with them? And for me, that adaption's really what defines a resilient firm, the ability to do that.
Yeah, I absolutely agree with you guys. I think any firm that made it through the past few years is 100% resilient. If you're here right now, if you're really trying to look for automation, you're resilient, you're looking to move and to grow. And if you can keep growing and scaling, you're a resilient firm. I mean, I agree with all of you. This is something that's super important. This is why everybody's really here, is the automation. So speaking of resiliency, speaking of, moving to where we are now, getting through the past few years, which I feel like is going to be something that we're going to say for the next decade. Remember a decade ago, what have you automated and how has automation affected your strategy? I will let whoever wants to jump in. How about Blake? Blake, have you automated something new? What have you done?
Well, the robots are coming, right? We're all going to be out of work here pretty soon, so should be very scared of automation. We've taken a bit of a different approach to it. We welcome automation. I think that in our firm, it's been a big deal to help empower our team to raise the level of work and the technical ability of the team, and then to help us make more, just be more efficient in general. So a few items that I noted down that we have automated, inbound payments, invoicing, email sequencing, marketing, bill pay workflows, inbound bill pay, bank feeds, bank rules, reconciliations. So we've really concentrated on a lot of the lower level bookkeeping tasks and a lot of the admin work to figure out how can we be more efficient, what can we help or have the robots do instead of our people, and move them up and have them do higher level work. So we've automated quite a bit, and we look at it as a huge opportunity.
Yeah. Jill, I'm really interested. You're a one-woman show over there. You're doing everything. So to me, I would make the assumption that automation is absolutely key. Is there anything that you have found and automated that just makes it to where you can get everything done so much faster, more efficient?
Yeah, definitely. A lot of, like Blake said, a lot of like the operations stuff and the bookkeeping tasks that are really repeatable, like rules are so helpful in that sense. And using like OCR technology with apps like Dext, where I'm not doing any data entry. I'm just like flowing information through one app to the next. And I feel like, so I'm like poised to, I've tipped the scale at this point. So I'm poised to start hiring staff in the near future because I'm going to need to before I implode. So I felt like those apps have been, my assistants, and now I really need like extra people to help me with that.
Yeah, I feel like there's only so with the robots, there is still only so much we can automate, especially in our industry, right? We still have to have some things that are personable and have that human touch on it. But I don't know about you guys. I know our philosophy is always, if it can be automated, automate it. What about you, Jordan? What do you got going over there?
Not to parrot Blake and Jill, but more or less the same, right? I thought one of the best things, not only for me and my firm, but also for my clients, was really the bill pay, right? That really helps streamline a lot of stuff, because now we don't have to chase clients for invoices. They actually just send it, they upload it themselves a lot of the time, or send it to like those email groups, and it goes into there right away. They do all the approvals, and the transaction recording is pretty much all automated itself there. And then we all have copies of the invoices. So I think bill pay in general, and what it does for clients, they can pay bills from anywhere, from their phone. No more writing checks, right? So that for me is the biggest game changer for the clients, because a lot of them don't even really realize that it's an option, or they're worried about it being too cumbersome. So I think just walking them through it and streamlining that. And then on like our accounting side, internally, like Jill said, creating rules, like Blake said, the ACH, the incoming payments, all of that, automating that, invoicing. So it's a combination of both internal and external that I think makes the firm, going back to the first question, resilient, right?
Yeah, absolutely. I have a couple of follow-up questions for you guys here. One of the follow-up questions is, I always tell people to attack the low-hanging fruit first. It makes it easier, get the thing done. What do you guys feel? Do you feel, I'm going to question it I'm going to phrase it in a way that kind of answers the question, but do you feel that bill pay is the low-hanging fruit of automation? Is it like the easiest thing that it's like a no-brainer of what we should be automated, or am I wrong and you have a different idea?
I think that, right off the bat, that's usually one of the first questions I ask potential clients is how do they like send money out, right? How do they pay their bills? And if they're telling me, they write checks, or they have their secretary write checks, or something like that. You know,
Or
I
they
talk to them
have a
about
secretary.
yeah, you know, or someone, you know, I always tell them you know, we could automate that. We can make it so much easier and so much quicker. Your vendors will appreciate it too, because they also know when they're getting paid. It's like transparency through and through. And then, you know, in terms of low-hanging fruit, I think like the rule setting and transactions are also a super easy, quick win.
Yeah. Did you guys have anything to add to that? I have a follow-up question, but I want to make sure that Jill, you nodded. Did you want to add something?
Yeah, I think, I mean, same, of course, but yeah, so I feel like the bill pay is the easiest one. And it's also like, it's the most important one, especially if like I'm doing the bill pay for somebody else's money. I don't want to like, I want to have these, there needs to be approvals. Like, I don't want to like ship off like a $250,000 payment with, you know, like, and I'm not, and maybe it's supposed to be $250, by the way, you know, so it's like, I'll run it through Dext, and Dext is gonna like, I'm not typing anything. Dext is gonna, and it's like 99.9% correct most of the time. I know other apps are just as good, but that's what I use. And it's gonna flow from there into QuickBooks, and the attachment's gonna go there. So there's always there's a backup there too. And then from there, it's gonna flow into like Melio Corpay, sorry, I should say Corpay first. And, you know, Relay, whatever you're using. So, and then with those apps, like with Corpay, you can do those, like they have so many different ways to you know, do the triggers for approvals. So I don't want anything to be, I'll set it up, but I don't want anything to be sent until like, I want my client to be the last eyes on that and they send it off. So I think like, you know, just for a practical example, that's what's really important to me. Because you can like send an invoice, you know, to somebody, and if it's messed up, okay, so let's fix it and resend it. But if you're sending money out, and then the second piece of that is that, you know, if you can like pull everything together quickly, like as you're getting bills, obviously there's usually a 30-day term. That's also going to help you with your cash flow. If you're just like, you know, sending it immediately into some place where it's going to immediately go into your accounting software, and you've just got it like all in one central location until you're ready to pay. And then you've got something, you know, you've got a machine working to add it all up for you at the same time. So that's also really useful information that's related to the bill payment workflow. Absolutely.
I think I'm gonna direct this second question, see if I can get Blake to give me his input. But I did want to say, I just recently, just so you know, I'm not being paid by Corpay One. I'm here because I love them. We started using Corpay One exclusively, and I think same with you when it comes with automation. The OCR is so important, and the OCR is so scary good that it actually scares me a little. I'm like, oh my God, it just pulled in all of the banking info, and now it's going to pay this bill. How did it know that? But it saw it on the paper. So your OCR is super, super important. But I know I really want to spend a little bit more time on this question. So my follow-up question, I want to hit an elephant in the room right now, guys. 7% of the people on our call are bookkeepers. And we have spent the last 2 slides really talking about how we're automating their jobs. And that has got to be something as a bookkeeper, anybody that really identifies as a bookkeeper has got to be on their mind, right? Hey, I do AP, I do AR, I do the basic bookkeeping. You guys just hit on all the 3 things I do to automate. What do we tell them? What is their next step? What do we tell them if we are automated their job? What do we suggest for them to do if we just replace them with Corpay, if we replace them with Intuit rules? What do we do? Blake? Help these souls.
Tough luck. Yeah. No, I think we're elevating their role within the firm, and that's how we look at it. So somebody's still got to drive the train or fly the airplane. Getting rid of the minutia, the transactional work, I think is great. I think that's what some of these tools are really good at. They're good at what they do, and they're really bad at what they don't do. So somebody still has to monitor that and run the process, and then of course talk to the client. So the piece of software is not going to talk to the client for you. It's not going to do the reporting and explain it and maintain that relationship. So these bookkeepers get elevated within the firm. They get to do more of the fun stuff, more of the fun work. And think, in my experience anyways, that's what they want to do anyways. I don't think a lot of people are super thrilled just to be head down classifying transactions all day and not getting to do the fun work. So I see this as a good thing. And one additional point, so on the accounting firm side, implementing something like low-hanging fruit like bill pay, it really gives the bookkeepers an advisory role to tell the client and educate the client on something new, help them make their life easier. And then what I really like is it brings or makes a new revenue stream available with a new type of CAS offering or bookkeeping offering where the client's paying their bills, but we can do the bookkeeping for them from anywhere because all of the data is within the software. So I think it helps everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Anybody want to add to that before we hop to our next slide? I just wanted to make sure we touched on that before we kept moving.
I think Blake did a great job of speaking on it.
Yeah, I agree. I think, and anybody in the accounting industry, if you go to a lot of these conferences, you're going to find that advisory are like the key words. Get out of the details and get into advisories. So absolutely, bookkeepers are skilled at their trade and super important in all of our firms. So they still are the ones that will know, hey, this works, this doesn't work. Let me tell you how to fix it. So yeah, I absolutely agree with you. So Gail, I'll let you go ahead and ask our next poll question.
All right, our next question is we'd like to know what, if anything, you have automated in your firm. And the choices we're giving you are bookkeeping, payables, tax prep, or payroll, or none of the above. So please pick whatever answer is closest to what's happening in your firm, and then click submit. And again, you can answer this in the Q&A area if you are having difficulty answering it on your screen.
I'm looking at the answers, but whenever we have these, I always like to guess before they pop up. Are you guys looking at all, or would you like to guess what you think will be the most automated or be the highest answer?
I'm already looking at what's coming in, so I can't guess. Really.
Is anybody else looking? If not, I always think it's going to be payables or bookkeeping in my head, is where I always think it's going to go. But I'm a little bit surprised by these results right now. Do you guys automate these things? I'm assuming we all automate payables because we're all here talking about it. Bookkeeping, payroll, do you guys do that? Do you automate? No, none of you. I was talking to the panel. Sorry, guys. I was asking the panel what you guys do. What do you automate?
In terms of, I automate as much as we can. Bookkeeping, we touched on this a little bit earlier. The bookkeeping with the rules, payables in terms of bill pay, tax prep, even import-export things, that could be helpful in time. It's not, full automation, but it's partial, right? Because you're taking something out of one system and you're putting it into another, but in a readable format. So I think that's pretty good. And then payroll, you have all these payroll tools out there, Gusto, Rippling, OnPay, ADP, that sync directly into your accounting software, which helps automate things even more.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, let's go ahead and give you guys just a couple more seconds to answer this. Jill or Blake, quick answer on what you automate.
A little bit of everything. It's an important point that none of it's really fully automated. I mean, somebody really does still have to drive the train. And back to your question on the bookkeepers, I think that's just an important point that nothing's fully automated.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, we're going to go ahead and close this survey. And surprisingly, with 33%, none of the above. So while I'm surprised, at the same time, I'm glad you guys are here. And hopefully if we were to retake this again in a month, all that 33% would be in payables. Right now, payables is at 13, bookkeeping is at 16, tax prep is 22, payroll is 16. I want to really quick answer this question real quick. What does it even mean to automate bookkeeping or payroll? Brian Ramos asks. What do you guys think? Just a quick answer. When you automate your bookkeeping or you automate payroll, what do you think that means?
I guess I could take this one. In terms of what it means. I think it just means like efficiency, right? I think it means finding a software that you really like, that works for you and your firm and that you think could be beneficial to your clients, learning it as best you can, and then marrying it to your accounting software, right? And just nailing down those processes and procedures, whether that's through different Loom videos, so you could follow it, your clients could follow it, your staff could follow it. That's what automating means to me. It's just getting comfortable with softwares and making sure they're all speaking with each other.
Yeah, I think I would add to that, just saying that I think it's like, like with the repeatable bookkeeping tasks, like setting rules, it's like, if you just think of it in terms of like, what is available that you can set it and forget it? What can you do that's reducing the amount of steps it takes to get something done? So like, if you think about how, like for bookkeeping, for example, or even payroll, like how was payroll done before, all of these automate, like before Gusto, whatever, like, just how did people used to do bookkeeping and all of those things? And now like we can, and it keeps changing. Every time I tell somebody, like either it's a peer or I'm just like, if they're going to look at a YouTube video for something, I'm like, just look at the date when it was made. Make sure it's not more than like a year old or maybe even 6 months, because things are also just changing. So it's like we have to keep up too. I think that kind of goes hand in hand with your automation and tech stack, that we say.
Absolutely. All right, guys. And so this is something people face. I've done a lot of payables webinars and talked to a lot of people about it. And when it comes to automation, people's biggest fear is number one, what do I do? What do I pick? Throw a rock and there is a solution for the new automation, right? Which one do I pick? Number two, how do I even start? Where do I start at, right? And if I barely have time to do what I'm doing now and I need to automate it, how do I take a step back and fix that and find that time to be able to do this? So what were difficulties that you have faced that your tech stack helped you solve? What are some of those things that maybe got you to where you're at and got you past those pain points? Blake, you want to shoot off since I didn't let you talk on the last piece?
No problem. So some of the difficulties that we've faced, a long time ago was the need to be in the office, the need to actually touch physical paper and move things around. So a lot of these tools have digitized things for us. So that's been something our tech staff has certainly helped us solve. Plenty of advantages to that. One thing that you mentioned was, where do you start and how do you maybe avoid some of these difficulties? It doesn't always have to be you. Something that some of these bookkeepers can do within your firm are, be a champion of taking a look at something like Corpay and just getting started. Most of this is pretty darn easy to jump into and actually get going on. And you can start with just the component pieces. You don't have to do everything all at once. So I definitely recommend everybody to take a look at something new and just try it. That's what we've done on almost all of the software that we've moved into, is just trying it. Of course, there's some false starts, but that's where we've gotten to. Yeah, that's how we've gotten to where we are today, just by doing it.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
I mean, just to add on to what Blake said, if you're a company, a firm, an individual that's looking to automate, I would just say start from scratch, right? You could even Google, top payroll for XYZ industry or something like that, and just start taking demos and learning about the different softwares and seeing what you like about all the different softwares, and just picking some things from there and being like, what, I think this one's going to be the best for my firm. Roll it out with maybe one client first, see if you like it, and then you can roll it out to more. That's really how I started it, so that's how I would suggest it.
Jill, what about you? We all seem to be on the same page here. So what do you got going on?
I think one of like my favorite problems that have been solved with tech is statement fetching is huge. I think that's like one of the best things. I mean, it's been going on for a while. I mean, it's not perfect, of course, but that's great.
What fetches statement aside from Intuit?
Pardon?
I'm sorry, I'm asking as an audience, what fetches statements aside from Intuit? Is it just Intuit? Is that the only one that actually grabs bank statements? You said statement fetching, so I was just curious.
That's what I'm using now,
Okay.
but there's other apps like HubDoc and LedgerSync. There's other apps that will do that as well.
Good to know. Sorry.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, no, but I think, I think learning about what's out there and like Jordan said, do demos and things like that. I think for me, some of the ways that I built tech stacks was like just solving like my clients' pain points, like what do you need help with? And then you learn something new. Like sometimes I'll do a demo just for fun. Like, I don't know if I'm going to use this, but then I'm like, oh, this would be perfect for this client. Then I can go to this client and be like, oh my gosh, I'm so excited. Like, listen, this is what we're going to do now, and it changes our life or whatever. So, yeah, this could be like all over the board. But you do have to like go through the process of learning and implementing, and there's always bumps.
That was a really good piece of advice you just gave, is if you don't know where to start with the pain point of your clients. And I always tell people, who's screaming the loudest? Let's handle that one first. Let's quiet them down. And I think that's some really good advice for those that are just kind of drowning in where to start. So along that same line, you had the pain points of your tech stack, you automated, you've gotten through. How has your automation changed the direction of your firm, your pricing strategy, and perhaps your staff?
Who wants to go? Should I go?
No, you're talking. It's all you. You have the conch.
I think that automation, we touched on this a little bit earlier with, for example, like it elevates the role of everyone else in the company, right? For example, the bookkeepers can now do more types of advisory work and higher level work. And same thing with the accountants, however many people you have in your business. It just allows for a higher level of work and analysis to be completed because time isn't spent on doing those other tasks, right? So I think it's just all a matter of streamlining and getting everything working together in synchrony. So it works really nicely. Of course, like Blake said, you still have to have someone watching and making sure everything goes because, there are issues that pop up with every technology, like even my Amazon Fire Stick doesn't even work all the time, right? So there are things that you always have to be on top of to make sure it's working right. So you always need someone there just driving the boat, checking on things, if not daily, then at least weekly. But yeah, those are my thoughts.
Okay.
Yeah, I think automation's changed all three of these, the firm, our pricing strategy, and our staff. I think with our firm, something that I guess kind of one of these ancillary consequences was the people that want to come work for us have changed. The talent that we've been bringing in wants to work with technology. As we became a more tech-focused firm, the folks that wanted to come work are just different. And some people aren't a good fit anymore. So that's really changed. I think we're attracting top talent now, people that are really smart. And because we have developed these tech stacks and do operate in a tech-forward mindset, I think those folks want to come work for us. That's been good. Same can be said for clients. We have plenty of clients that aren't a good fit anymore because they have the banker's boxes full of paperwork. We have clients seeking us because of our digital experience and because we offer a more frictionless experience. So I think those two have changed with the firm. Pricing, of course, you're trying to become more efficient, do more with less, and automation definitely helps with that. So when you get in a good spot and you have top talent and a really great process, you can charge premium prices and you can make more. So that's been good. Pricing has increased, and commanding premium pricing on your service offering is definitely a good thing. And with the staff, our internal folks have stepped up and been elevated within the firm. So those are, their bookkeepers that used to do the transactional work are now moving up and managing work instead. And I don't think too big of a point can be put on just who you're attracting, what kind of firm you are when you put a job ad out, and those people come in and try to learn about your firm to see if they want to work for you. And if you're pushing paper around versus have some digitized process with a big tech forward, tech stack, they're going to look at you differently, and you're going to attract different talent.
Absolutely. I think hiring has absolutely changed too. That's a whole other webinar, but we're being interviewed, we're not interviewing them. And I feel like it's a completely reverse. But a follow-up to this question, and it's something that you have kind of touched on, but so you have, you've brought in this tech stack, you've brought in your automation, but now do you need to bring in a person to manage this tech stack, to manage this automation? What happens there? How are you guys managing that?
Yeah, so for us, we look at it a couple different ways. We want to know about it, so we can act in an advisory role and just help, implement it with the client, and maybe the client's running it. Or if it's integrated into one of our CAS products, we've just changed roles within the firm. So instead of these, the bookkeepers or bookkeeping managers doing the transactional work, they've learned, and the role has changed into more of managing the process. So I do think for us, a mindset shift has been, selling a product or a process instead of just a reactive service, and that's really changed.
Yeah, that's great. And if you're working on a process, and that's way more scalable than actually putting this day-to-day technical work on someone where they can only handle so much. One more follow-up question I have, and maybe Jill, you have an answer for this. So we're adding in all this automation, we're adding in all this tech stack, and of course we've maybe reduced the human touch or the salary that it costs to handle this, and they've now moved into a different role. But you have the price of the software. Are you guys keeping that pricing internally as an overhead cost, like an operating cost, or do you pass this through to your clients? How are you doing that? Jill, this would be a great one for you, considering you don't have staff, you have yourself. So as you add on more tech stack, how is this working for you?
So I just loop it into the flat monthly fee. I don't rebill software.
Okay. So it's just all included in your pricing structure and kind of a pricing cost. I guess when you have some, I assume that's what a lot of people do. Do either of you pass or upgrade or pass any of the automation costs to your clients, or do you just consider it operations?
It depends, right? It depends what it is. Like if it's bill pay or something like that, those I usually take on and they're built into the fees. But let's say you have an e-com client, you need one of those tools that, bring the transactions over to another, depending on what it is or what it costs, I would usually pass that on to them and or even tell them like, here, you have to sign up for this and then add us as, the accountant. So it really, I think, depends on the software. If it's something that my company doesn't really use often, or we don't have a partnership with one of those companies, then I'll usually pass it on to the client. But if it's a company that I work with a lot, usually we get discounted pricing anyway, and I have that already built into the packages that I use.
Yeah. A lot of the payables right now, they're free, like Corpay is free. Right. You're only paying for if you pay by credit card or you need to overnight a check. So it makes it really easy to say, hey, we're including this if you do ACH. If you need a credit card payment, I am going to charge you for that additional fee or whatnot, right? It's that kind of what you guys do. Okay, good. We should all just start a mega firm together because we're all such on the same page.
We do it a little differently. We're in It Depends, but pretty similar. We look at it on who owns the process. So for instance, in a bill pay, if we're not paying the bills, we'll recommend it out, help them get it set up, and then they would be paying that because we've lost ownership, and they might make a bunch of credit card payments that costed a bunch. Yeah. But if we're going to own the process, we can control it, send out checks in ACH, and it wouldn't cost anything. Another good example is payroll. If we're going to build in a payroll advisory service and we're going to do payroll and we're going to own that process, we'll build it into the price. But oftentimes we find ourselves just recommending out, helping to integrate, and then the client actually ends up paying that. So we look at it by ownership of process.
Got you. So some different options there for sure. All right. I will let Gail hop into our polling question.
All right. This is polling question number 3. Remember, you need to answer at least 3 questions today to verify your attendance. This question is, what is your primary focus in your firm? And your answer options are automating more processes, building your client base, strengthening your firm, or I love where I'm at and feel confident. So choose the answer that's most closely aligned with the focus in your firm, and then click the submit button. Again, if you can't answer this on your screen, just pop an answer into the question box and we'll record it there.
I feel like as a firm owner, you just want to click A, B, C, D. Or I really hope you want to click D. D's a hard one as a firm owner, isn't it, guys? I mean, it's hard because you're handling all those other things, and sometimes you're wondering. That's why I love these webinars. I don't know about you guys, because when you talk to other firm owners that have kind of the same things as you feel good about the decisions you're making. Anybody else feel that same way? Or are you like, no, everybody's doing it the same, I've got to be the underdog and do something different now? No one wants to be the Broncos. I get it. Sorry, Bronco fans, had to throw your terrible season out there right now. All right, so we'll give you guys a few more seconds to answer this. Like I said, when it comes to these, I always like to see where we're at. Let's see. Going right exactly where I thought we would land on this one, but it's good. Some great answers across the board. Just a couple more seconds here. All right, and let's go ahead and end out this survey. And 47% of you really want to automate more processes. 13.5% are working on building your client base. 23 want to strengthen your firm, and 16 really love where you're at and feel confident. So that's great. So just you guys, Jill, if you're looking to hire, stay away from those 12 users. If you're going to headhunt, they like where they're at. So we won't come at you. Okay, and here comes into staff. So staffing is, like I said, a whole other webinar. In fact, I have a session on it coming up at a conference. But staffing is a huge one right now. So when you guys are looking for staff, are you looking for people who are more able to pivot with technology? And knowing that, does it make hiring more difficult? Example, do you put your tech stack in your job listings and say, hey, I need you to be QuickBooks Pro certified. If you're not, get out of here because I don't want to deal with you. What do you guys do for hiring when it comes to that?
I think being technology friendly is a must. Like if say that they're not comfortable with using different types of tech stacks, or they're not comfortable learning new software, I think that's a non-starter for having someone work at a company that like this, especially with the new world of accounting where everything is streamlined. I mean, myself, I have a virtual firm, right? So I have staff that's not even in the country, but also different parts of the world. So, being able to make adjustments and, pivot and understand what's going on in software, how to look for it, how to reach out to support if you need it, how to just show other people what's going on and being comfortable with it and being, taking a role in learning it and taking that initiative, I think is just super important. It might even be more important than just knowing bookkeeping in a sense, because that's easier to teach in some sense than it is to, understand the flow of software and how to implement it to work the way we want it to work.
Jordan, I find a lot of firms have a real hit the ground running kind of onboarding, especially because when we're moving really fast and we need someone, it's usually because we just had 2 clients on board we weren't prepared for. So if it comes down to 2 staff members and one of them's like, hey, I'm not as experienced in the actual role, but I know this software like the back of my hand. And the other person's like, I am super experienced, but I'll learn the software. Which one do you lean more towards?
That's a great question.
Yay!
I would probably.
I know.
That should have been on the questions on the slides. I think that's a tough answer, right? Because
let's say it's a general accounting role. It's a senior accountant that you specialize in manufacturing. Maybe they're super manufacturing specialized, but they don't have the technical. The other one's like, I know this, but I was not a senior accountant, so I want to be, but I absolutely know basic accounting, but I completely know this software.
You know what? I think I would take the tech person. Honestly, I do, because I think that tech is so important, especially for what I do. Like I said before, I'm a virtual company, right? Yeah. So if they know accounting really, really well, but don't know how to use the software, that doesn't really help me or my clients out that much at the end of the day, right? And that's really what matters, is how much value can you give to the clients? And, them not being able to use the software that we use isn't going to provide much value.
Yeah, I agree. What about you, Blake? What do you got on this topic?
Yeah, hiring people that fit within your tech stack is a challenge. There's so many different softwares out there. We list them, and say that it's preferred within a job listing, but it's not something that usually works out where there's a one-to-one fit and it's just all perfect.
That needle in the haystack.
Yeah.
Which guy would you take? Which person would you take?
Yeah, what one would you take?
Yeah, probably the technology person.
Right.
And one of the reasons for that, with implementing a tech stack and automating some of the lower level work, the need for the technical ability doesn't go away, but I think there's less. You can have the manager be the technical person and have the lower level person really managing that process and be the expert on the technology. That's been great for us. It's allowed us to cast a wider net and hire out of different talent pools. We have non-accountants that work for us. They used to be bank tellers or insurance underwriters or loan underwriters because they're very tech savvy and they can run a process. And it's important that they know what a debit and a credit is and kind of how the tax system works, but it's not super important that they're 20-year tax CPAs. So for us, that's been a major advantage to implementing good technology, is the ability to hire some different people to manage those processes.
Yeah, absolutely. Another follow-up question for you guys. So once you have your team on, they're in, and you're like, hey, we're bringing on Corpay. Do you guys require your team to be certified in the software you bring in as your tech stack?
Unfortunately, Corpay doesn't have a certification program currently.
Well,
they're working on it, but yes, I'm a huge proponent of the software companies and the trend towards certification programs and universities and communities. We ask that our team gets certified within a certain time period. We give them time. It takes time, 6 months or so to become that QuickBooks Pro Advisor, Xero certified, the Bill.coms, the Gustos. Yes, we ask them to do that, and it pays in dividends to have them an expert in that software technology.
I agree. And it's also, if you're going to go to your clients and say, hey guys, this is what we're using, and if you're working with us, this is what you're using, I think it makes a lot of sense that your team is not having to learn it, or the client can actually come to you and go, hey, I'm kind of stuck. And instead of saying, oh, you need to go ask Corpay, we'd be like, hold on, I got that real quick, because we know it. I think that holds a lot of water for your firm as well. And how often are your customers requested automated services, or talking about your tech stack? Like, a lot of people know that that's what we're going into. There are a few people that are still holding on to, I need to go into your office, or you need to come into mine once a month, and you need to touch my paper and file in my cabinets. Those people are, eventually going to fall off the earth. But for the rest of us, what are your clients doing? What are you hearing from them the most? Jill, since we didn't get to hear from you on that last one, what do you have?
I'm sorry, what is the question? So
what are your customers requesting? Like, how often are they requesting automated services, or how often are they asking about your automations or tech stack? Is that something your customers even ask you about?
No.
No?
I think that, and when I saw that question, I know it's like our language. So our clients don't know what they don't know. So I think, so it's an ongoing basis. Like, again, it's like the pain points start with the end result and work backwards and build from there. So, and that's a lot of, like, when I'm onboarding a new client, it's usually because, they've been doing their own bookkeeping, or they just, for whatever reason, they ended a previous service. So that's where we're starting. Okay, like, what's not working? What are you spending the most time on? And, just what makes things easier and more efficient for both of us to do our work. For me to do my work, I need them to, they need to do things too. And then it's just, I say ongoing because, I have clients who start as sole proprietors with contractors, then they move into having employees. And so, okay, now we're doing payroll and these employees also have company credit cards. Okay, so now we've got expense management. So it's just kind of always evolving. And I'm always, finding solutions, being the problem solver for them with technology, just shaking things up so that, we have a smooth process in place and they get to focus on what they love, which is not managing receipts and expenses.
Yeah. Do you guys find that you get any pushback from automation, or do you find that they're like, we don't care, that's why we hired you, you tell us what to use and that's what we're going to use? What do you guys find? Do you guys have this on? Do either of you have an opposite? Do either of you have, when I say either, I'm talking to Jordan and Blake since Jill answered. Do either of you have clients that actually ask for automation? Or is it more of you saying, no, we're tired of this?
We do. They use a different vernacular, but they're usually asking for the outcome that the automation will provide or solving for a pain point. Very rarely are they coming to me and saying, please automate my bill pay process. I don't think they know what that even means, but they might say, hey, I have all these invoices. It's a mess. I hate writing checks. Like, there's got to be a better way, right? So that to me is them asking for help automating a process. And that's generally how it works. Even though we, push automation and push tech forward ideas, I don't think we've ever had a client that just says, come automate our entire accounting suite. They say, we've got this pain point, come fix this, and then we can move on to it. So that's been our experience.
Okay, so if somebody came to me and said that, I'd want to run from that client, because what that means is they got on Google and did a lot of research, and it means they know more than me, and they're going to tell me what to do the entire process. And that sounds like my nightmare. I don't know about you guys. Have you guys seen that shirt that says, my hourly rate, 100, to watch me do it, 150, to watch and give me notes, 200. Like, that's what that reminds me of. I would run. I would be like, Jordan,
that would be a client that just came from a bad experience with someone who sold them that service.
Absolutely. You guys, accountants, please stop ruining clients for the rest of us if you do that. It's just the worst. You feel bad, right? You feel bad because they're jaded, but at the same time, you're like, man, now I'm going to get the blunt trauma of it. What about you, Jordan? Anything to add before we hop into our last and final poll question?
No, I think I'm on the same page as Blake. I don't think a client's ever come up to me and been like, please help me automate my back office. But they're just, every pain point they hit on is probably that in a nutshell, right? They're, like Blake said, oh, I have too much AP, too many bills are piling up on my desk, or, I have all these payments come in, but I don't know which invoices they reconcile to. That's usually a big one also. I think that's really what it is. It's not, like Jill said, they don't know what they don't know. So I think as long as they think the process is working, a lot of the times they don't care how it's done, as long as it's done better. I just had a client that came to me because they had an account that was doing payroll for them, and they had to physically mail in all their payroll stuff every month. And, all their 941s and everything, they had to write checks out and mail it in. And I was just like, I was sort of in shock. But they were jaded by the whole experience. So, I think just automating it for them, it's not only beneficial for them, it's really beneficial for us at the end of the day, right? I think it's even better for us than it is for them, because it just helps us streamline all those processes and, gives them a better product. And that's really what they care about, right? They're coming to us because they need help with financial reporting or whatever it is, right? So by automating all those services, it allows us to have more free time to give them those types of advisory services.
Absolutely. My sister works for the post office, and I always tell her that old school accountants are the only reason she still has a job. I'm like, so be nice to them. All right, guys. So our last and final question is coming up. And Gail, you go right ahead on this one.
All right. Our last polling question. We've mentioned Corpay throughout the webinar. It's been dropped into conversation a handful of times. Are you interested in learning more about Corpay One? And your options are yes or no. So that's a pretty easy one.
Let me touch on this real quick before if any of you are like, no, let me tell you, CorePay is free. It is free to use. You don't pay for users. You don't pay for your clients to be on. It is free. If you do not use it for the month, you don't have a bill. That's the beauty of it. If you pay via ACH, there is no charge. The only thing you pay for is when you pay credit card fees if you pay with a credit card, you pay if you overnight a check, but it's free. It completely integrates with QuickBooks and Xero. It goes right in. Like I said, I just recently switched to it exclusively and I love it. Your clients don't have to make an account. It's very OCR and automated. So yeah, I thought I'd tell you guys on that the last little bit. And finally, to really kind of touch on, it was super great talking to you guys. I always love hearing when there are other firm owners that are really on the same page as you. Like I said, it really solidifies and makes you feel good about what you're doing. You guys, seriously, I do these things and I'm like, I just want to start just a mega company with everybody. But one kind of little last bit of tidbit as everybody hops off. What is a key takeaway that you want everybody to give, or that you would like everybody to take home from today? I've got 3 little ideas, but is there something like that you just would say, hey, if you guys listen to none of this, let me give you this tidbit right now? Is there something you want to throw in?
I would just say automate, right? That's the theme of the webinar. So start Googling those softwares that you think are important to you, like, as a bookkeeper, accountant, firm owner, whatever. Think about your own pain points and what is holding you back from moving forward, right? And start with that software, whether that's a workflow software, a project management tool even, right? I would start with those and then build from there.
Blake, Jill, anything?
Sure. Lots of opportunity to automate. You don't have to go all in and spend your entire life making it happen. You can start small, a lot of little component parts, tons of software out there. And the way we got started was testing it on clients and then using our own firm. So I would just start. It is the future. It's coming, and the robots are either going to take the job or you can manage the robots. So we're going to challenge everyone to take a look and start.
And just dive in and invest the time. It's, sometimes it's like upfront time investment, but then it's so worth it once things are put in place and you can kind of breeze through it.
Awesome. Yeah, I was going to say, I think our takeaways were to be proactive and communicate with your clients. Most of the time, your clients are already telling you what the pain points are and what you need. When you listen to those, automate what you can, because that is where we are going in the future. Will Smith, like we mentioned, has already warned us about this, and it is coming. So we got to get ahead of it. Otherwise, it'll leave us in the dust. I thank everybody for their time today. I hope that we all see you on another webinar somewhere across or at a conference somewhere. And I assume, Gail, do you wrap this thing up?
I'm going to wrap us up. So first of all, Sharon, Jordan, Blake, and Jill, thank you so much for a really excellent and engaging conversation. We hope all of you who are with us today enjoyed this webinar, and we want to thank you for spending your time with us. We also want to thank CorePay One for making this event possible and for enabling us to offer a free CPE credit to each attendee. As a reminder, you'll receive a link in your email later today with a link to your CPE certificate. If you have other people who were watching this with you at the same computer, you can send their name and email address to me, and I will get their CPE certificate out to them. You can reach me at gperry, GPERRY, at cpapracticeadvisor.com. And if you have any questions about CPE or anything else that you need to contact us about, just send it to me, gperry at cpapracticeadvisor.com. As soon as I stop talking, you're going to be presented with an evaluation form on your screen. So we would appreciate it if you'd take a moment to answer a few questions about how you think we did today. And that's it. Thank you, everyone. And our audio is going to end now.